Hey guys, ZeroX here, and welcome to another boosting related video. Now I've got quite the story for you guys today. We're going to be looking in depth into two accounts that boosted Smash Hero stats, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. Now we're going to go one account at a time. We're going to compare their stats that we know are boosted, and we're going to showcase why they're boosted, of course, to expected stats from top players in those kits and stuff. And we're gonna just move on from there, and I'll showcase a ton of stuff. You can see I've already got a ton of tabs open at the top. Quick spoiler: if you want to know the IGNs that we're gonna be looking at, you can check up there. This is a leaderboard. You can find it on playing. This is the achievement points leaderboard. Very well known for being boosted because achievements can be quite difficult to get apparently, and so people decide to boost them. Now this is the top 15, top 16, top 16. On this list, there are two accounts we're going to be looking at today. They're in the same guild, uh, formerly known as a very good guild, known as Blood or Bloodlust. This guild was known as being the best when it came to GVGs. They were undefeated GVGs. They had dozens of GVGs played. Very, very good. But then quickly over time it sort of diminished, and now I just kind of see it as a booster guild, to be honest, and I'll show you guys why. So the two names that we're going to be taking a look at are going to be Nightman here, and we're going to be taking a look at Nemqnja. So first off, Nightman, the lower AP of the two. This very impressive account. You might see he's got the dark blue plus plus. You know what that means, ladies and gentlemen. He is a big boy. So you can see it's also here on the Hypixel network level. Leaderboard is number 7. If we take a look at his stats on 25 Karma. By the way, guys, if you're ever looking for player stats, check out 25 Karma. Don't use Plank for player stats. Use Plank for leaderboards, or use my Discord bot for leaderboards. Use 25 Karma for stats. It just looks way better. The stats are more accurate a lot of the times too, because Plank still has a few issues that they haven't fixed for some reason. And it's kind of hard to get in contact with Plank himself for him to get those fixed. However, the owner of 25 Karma, you can simply send him a private message through the forums or Discord or whatever, and he'll get it fixed as soon as he can. So this is Nightman. He is the owner of Bloodlust, ironically, and we're going to show that he definitely boosted. It's a little funny. Not as bad as an Nemqnja, I don't think, but still very much boosted. And yeah, you can also see he's got a lot of coins. So on top of spending a lot of money on the game for Lapis Plus Plus, I think what's the cheapest you can get VIP for? I think it's like $2 or something through coins, and this is 200 ranks. So you spend at least like what is that, $400 USD for this plus plus, and then through his coins and his network level, you can estimate that he spent at least 1,000 USD on Hypixel alone. So this guy, very rich fellow, IRL, very rich. Now let's take a look at his stats. Now, obviously, we're going to be looking at Smash Bros. Stats today because I see this thing tech boosters in. I'm too lazy to make anti-boost scripts for all the other game modes, maybe in the future sometimes. But let's take a look at this. Now I've got a little prep sheet that you guys can't see here, and we're just going to go through. So for Nightman specifically, I'm only going to go over one hero. This is going to be his main hero, Skullfire. This is because all these other accounts, I could show how they may be boosted, but at the end of the day, they all have very low games played counts. And so there's like a sample size issue where like, yeah, it might show that they're boosted, but there's so few games played. It's very hard to tell between like one boosted game and one really good legit game compared to, or like one really lucky legit game compared to like 800 games, let's say, right? So it's more of like an aggregate. Generally, the larger sample size, the more accurate your data, or the more consistent your data, I guess. So I'm looking at Skullfire today. I can open up right here. This is his API. You guys can see here the player ID. We've got the display name. We've got everything. You can verify all this information all you want. We're going to scroll down. So you can see we went into stats and then Smash Heroes, class stats, Skullfire. Now, the few stats to look at here. One big stat that we're going to be looking at is today is going to be damage to void kill ratio. So this is how often they're killing someone with damage versus how often they are killing someone using the void. Now the reason why this is very important is a lot of times when boosters boost, they will be too lazy to actually go through the entire health pool of their ults. And so instead what they'll do is they'll use like a knockback based move. So this on your like Kara, this is going to be your 2. On your Skull, this is going to be a grenade, which is also your 2, I believe. Stuff like this. And so they're going to use knockback based attacks generally to very easily maybe do 10, 20 damage and then knock the ult off. Sometimes as low as, 2 damage to knock, to just simply tag actually. And then to either knock the ult off the map and then get the kill that way because it's a lot faster, or then they'll switch onto the ult client and then just walk off after getting tagged. Anyways, it's usually the same case where they will play game mode. That's generally not solos because boosting in solos is a lot more effort. So 2v2 and 2v2v2 are the most boosted. Outside of friends and 1v1 of course, but those are a different story because the stats for those don't work the same way as they do for the 3 main game modes. They are what we call semi-private stats. So we're going to be looking at this damage to void kill ratio because very often by doing this where you knock ults off, it'll make your damage kill to void kill ratio very, very low. So the amount of kills that you get with damage versus the amount of kills that you get with the void, there's going to be a very large discrepancy here, much larger than you'd ever expect to see between top players. Between these two numbers for top players, I should say. So let's take a look specifically for his Skull. And this is not nitpicking stats, by the way. You can go look at all of the stats. It's just these ones very clearly show that he's boosted, and it's not like nitpicky to where like the sample size is low or there's any issues like this. These are all very strong stats, often the most played game mode. So we're going to take a look at his Skull here. We're going to look at 2v2 stats. So for the damage to void kill ratio, it's very simple. I'm going to go over how it works now, and then we'll reuse it later, and I won't explain it in the future. So for every hero, if they did play the game mode, there should be 2 stats that we're looking for. Smasher underscore 2v2, we're going to look at 2v2 stats, and there's going to be kills underscore 2v2. So these are our 2 numbers. Now you can already see one of these is much smaller than the other. There's a few things to note. So Smasher isn't always lower or equal to kills, but very much generally it is. I would say maybe in 1 out of every 10,000 accounts, Smasher will be higher. There's some very notable hero stats where this is the case, but this is due to like the semi-private stat issue between friends and 1v1 mode. And this is not reflective of any of the stats I'm going to show here today in this video. And I've already gone through and verified that none of these stats are sort of messed with via stuff like this. And either way, for like 2v2, since friends and 1v1 stats have their own set of stats, this mainly affects like that issue that I'm talking about with the semi-private stats. That generally affects your total smasher and kill stats, but it doesn't really affect game mode specific stats as much. There are a few minor bugs, or I guess major bugs in some sense, that you can abuse to mess with these numbers a little bit. However, I've already vetted that I've gone through all the stats, and it's very clear that these bugs are either not known by their players, these players, or they at the very least haven't been used by these players. Yeah. So we're going to be going in. So this is his amount of kills with damage. So Smasher is the amount of damage kills. So he has killed a total. Oh, and these are also inclusive. So the reason why Smasher is generally lower than kills is because every time you get a kill, you get a kill stat, and you only sometimes get a Smasher stat. So since you almost always get a kill value for every kill, but you don't always get a Smasher value for every kill, kills will always go up, but these aren't mutually exclusive. You can get both. So if you get a kill with damage, you will get one of both of these. So if you only got damage kills, they'd be equal, generally. So we're going to take 74, and then his total kills, right, inclusive. So we're just going to divide it by the total. It's going to be 74 divided by 2,608. So only about 2.8% of his kills are via damage. So you can see why a lot of people who play Smashers will already see this with this number. 2.8% of your kills being done like this is very, very low. This is a very low percent. So I've gone through and I've got some numbers to compare against. So just a reminder, about 2.8% of his 2v2 kills are via damage, and then all the rest are via void. This is a very low percentage, okay? So just keep that in mind, 2.7, okay, 2.7. Let's quickly compare, we're going to compare it to two other players just to not have any mistakes. There's one common player that I'm going to reuse here a lot. He's known as Excalix. Some people might know him as Brooklyn Warlord. That was his old IGN. And he is well known in Smash Heroes. I believe he was the first ever 1920 player. So the first ever player to hit the Smash level cap, which is quite insane. And so we're going to go over his stats quite a bit. And then on top of that, to supplement every little, I guess, section that we're going to go over, we'll also be mentioning one extra player that is one extra individual player that exceeds in this case. So for example, since we're looking at Nightman976's Skullfire, we'll be using a player that specializes in Skullfire and is known for having very high Skullfire stats. Now, a lot of these accounts are taken directly from my leaderboards or my leaderboard bot. So if you're not already in the Discord, check it out. My leaderboard bot, very cool, especially very useful for Smash Heroes. There's a ton of leaderboards. And so for picking out these players, I simply looked at the EXP leaderboards top page for every hero that we're going to be talking about, and I just picked out a player at random, essentially. First of all, though, we're going to be taking a look at Excalix. So Excalix here, this is Excalix. You can vet all this information yourself using object ID and UID, all you want. And we're going to be taking a look at a few things. Now, unfortunately, Excalix doesn't have that many stats in specific game modes to look at. So for this example, we're going to be looking at his overall stats. But for the future examples, we'll be looking at individual mode stats, just so that you guys don't think that I'm, I guess, nitpicking. You can go through and compare any value of Excalix's to any value of Nightman's with Skullfire, and it very clearly will show his boosts as long as the stat that you're looking at is a reasonable ratio to be looking at when you're looking for boosters, using the idea that they boosted using alts. So looking at Excalix's ratios, I'm going to skip over looking for the stats here. I've already got them written down. He has done about 7,795 kills via damage, and this is his total kill count. So if we subtract there and we do some quick math, he has done about 9,233 void kills. So about 46% of his kills are via damage. So a tiny bit under half of his kills with Skull are via damage. So reminder, Nightman's Skull for 2v2 had 2.8, and now we're looking at 46, okay? 2.8 to 46. This is a very large discrepancy. This is about 15 times as much. This is not a small number. We're talking double-digit multiplication here. Now, the next player I want to mention, a very well-known player. I think he's well-known for being very good at the kit. He's known as Kuhz. Kuhz. This is his API. You can vet it with the Mongo object ID. And I think his UID is going to be somewhere down here probably. Where would the UID be? There we go. UID right there. So you can vet all that information yourself. We're under his Skullfire here just to show you. And here I've already once again got the stats written down, so I'm just going to mention them. He has gotten about 7,213 damage kills and roughly 8,570 void kills. So once again, we have about 46%. So two top accounts, one top overall, one top specifically for Skull. And we could do this for 10 accounts if we wanted, and we'd see roughly the same thing. If you took 9 other or 10 other legit accounts, and then you compared them to Nightman's, it will always look like this with this very large discrepancy. In fact, I've run a script to go over the top 25 accounts here for Skullfire, and none of them get even within 20% of his number. Okay, so his number is 2.8, and I didn't see any that were 22.8 or lower. Okay, so just know that nothing even gets comparably close to Nightman's value here. It's very clear that what Nightman here did with his skull is that he got in a party either with an alt or with a friend, very much likely with an alt so that he can get more kills per game. So he hopped in with his friend, or I guess his alt, into a party of 2, and then he got 2 alts in a party of 2, and then he sniped himself in 2v2, and then he 1-tapped or 2-tapped his alts right off the ledge, so that they can dive you a void, and that is much quicker than it is to kill them via damage. So now I think we've properly demonstrated, 15 minutes into the video, we've properly demonstrated that Nightman976 boosted skull. Now, like I said, I would go over his other characters, but as we can see here, his other characters here are just very low sample size. It'd be almost nitpicky to choose one of these very low sample size characters. I can maybe touch a Shoop, but I won't bother. Especially when his Skullfire, I mean, your highest win-loss and your highest KD, wow. With a KD like that and a win-loss like that, I mean, this is like Hyplex level win-losses, you know? Hyplex, one of the best players in the world. So you'd expect that, you know, maybe he might be one of the best players in the world, but obviously he's not. These are simply boosted stats, don't be fooled. Now the next player I wanted to look at, this is Nemqnja, also in Blood. He is a Flexor rank in Blood. I don't know what rank that is, but he's in Blood. Nemqnja, to remind you guys, number 2 overall for achievement points. So this guy, formerly number 1 in the world, now number 2 in the world for achievement points. He's a big boy achievement hunter. Unfortunately, this guy is most definitely boosted stats. So you can see he's got a lot of commerce. He's been playing the game a long time, very high network level, not that high though. You can see not too many coins. He probably didn't use that many boosters. Been playing since very early 2016. And so this is a very big account. He's got a ton of arcade wins, a ton of wins in essentially every game. Quite insane. He's got a lot of wins in CVC. He's fully max shop, almost fully max shop, stuff like this. Very highly built account. And he's smash level 750, very reasonable. I believe 750 is the highest or the second highest tier of the achievement, the tier achievement for it. I believe it is the second highest. Now looking at his stats, there are quite a few characters here that we could tackle for whether or not they're boosted. Now there's 2 in particular I want to take a look at today. We're going to be taking a look at his Karakot and his Shoop. Now you might be wondering, why Karakot, why Shoop? First of all, I want to look at his Shoop, because his Shoop, he's got 2 MS kits, right? One of them, though, far lower win-loss and far lower KD than his other one. So I figured, let's maybe take a look at the win-loss and the KD on this guy. Because Shoop is already known as one of the easiest kits to play. Because they're just so good. It's so good when it comes to knockback. You can play it passive, you can play it aggressive. Very easy kit to play once you know how to play it. And then I also want to take a look at his Karakot. This Karakot's got this insane 84-0 win-loss and a scarily high KDR. Now, 84-0, I mean, I'm not going to say it's impossible. I could very easily hop on an alt account, a fresh alt account that's never played Karakot before, and ask one of my friends who's very good at their kit to play their main kit, only play duos with me, and we could probably play it safe, maybe even dodge a little if we wanted to, just to be extra safe, and we could very easily go 84-0. We could go 500-0 if we really wanted to. But I just don't think that's reasonable for this guy, because this guy doesn't scream, I'm the best player in the world. He doesn't scream, I'm really good at this kit. He screams, I just want the achievements. And there's a big difference between the average achievement hunter and everybody else. And then on top of that, specifically, why I want to look at this character and why, I mean, we're going to look into it. 2v2v2 stats compared to the rest. This is a very big tell. In general, when you play 2v2v2, nowadays is very rare. So unless you're sniping to only play 2v2v2 or something, it's not going to happen that you're going to have this ratio. Generally, top players, people who main the game, people who play the game 12 plus hours a day sometimes, they'll be lucky if they get 2 games of 2v2v2 a day. All right. Now, it's not to say it's impossible. This guy could have played way back when 2v2 was more popular when the game first came out. I just doubt it. And then I guess we'll see why I doubt it when we look into the stats. You'll also notice his Tin Man has very low kill count compared to his Shoop, even though they have similar games played. I just want to mention that. His Shoop stats are far more impressive than Tin Man. And that's why I think reasonably you can say his Tin Man stats are legit. But I don't think you can anywhere near reasonably say his Shoop stats are legit. So we're going to be taking a look at Shoop and his Karakot. First, we're going to be taking a look at his Karakot. And the reason why I really want to look at his Karakot first is simply because Karakot's the kit that I made. It's the kit that I know very well. It's the kit that I've done the most research in. It's a very fun kit to play, known as, I guess, the kit that does a lot of damage. It does a lot of damage, and it's very good for bullying new players, I guess. So if you were an AP hunter and you wanted to bully nons all day because you know you're going to be dodging prestige kits, this is a very good kit to choose. So is Shoop, I should say. Shoop is arguably far better. But if I had to rank them, I would put Shoop like A tier, and I would put maybe Kara like B tier. Or maybe high B tier or low A tier. So it's not necessarily down there, but it's still pretty high up. And then obviously nowhere near as good as Shoop. But we're going to take a look at Goku first. For those who don't know, Karakot on the API known as Goku. This is the account. You can see the UID, the object ID, and everything. Now for this particular instance, we're going to be taking a look at his 2v2 stats, 2v2 Kara stats, because this is the less obviously boosted between the Kara and the Shoop. So Kara 2v2, I can show you guys the values real quick. So we can do Smasher 2v2. You can see this. Wait, is this properly the stats? Oh yeah, it was so low I had to double check. Smasher 2v2, and we're also going to be looking at kills 2v2. So, there we go. That number to that number is like 26 to this. So if we look at the ratios, I already wrote it down, so I'm just going to read it off to you. In 2v2, he's got about 26 damage kills to about 286 expected void kills. That's a very low ratio. This is about 8%. And I should mention these estimates that I'm giving that I gave for Nightman and for Nemqnja, these are very generous, conservative estimates. These are the minimum. Okay, so this is the highest percentage that is reasonable. And we could go lower if some bugs were accidentally used at some point. So I just want to mention when I said the 2.8% for Nightman's Skull, that's the highest number. And then obviously 2.8% nowhere near 46. And when I say this 8% for his Kara and 2v2 here, this is the highest number. So it can only possibly be lower than 8%. So it's 8% or lower. And then if we look at some other top players, so once again, Excalix, this time, instead of going for overall, let's just keep the same game mode, So 2v2, let's take 2v2 for Excalix's Karakot. So if we look at Excalix again here, we're going to take a look at his Karakot. Let's bring out his Karakot known as Goku here. I'm going to read you off the numbers. I'm just going to sort through stats so you can see them real quick. I'm going to read you off the numbers though, so that we don't have to waste any time. It's already going to be a very long video. His Karakot in 2v2 has an estimated 2,986 damage kills to about 3,234 void kills. So that's about a 48% of his total kills are going to be damage kills. So we're looking at 8% maximum for Nemqnja. And then if we compare it to Excalix, one of the first person in 1920, one of the most impressive stat accounts there are for Smash Heroes, is at 48%. You can see here 8% to 48. And I can see when we go through and we check stats for the top 25 accounts, similar to what we did with Nightman's Skull, there is nothing anywhere near Nemqnja. In fact, nothing is double Nemqnja or lower. So nothing is 16% or lower that is confirmed legit. Or actually, no need to even say that. There's just none in the top 25 that reached that low. And you guys can go and do all this math yourself if you want. I don't care. There's none that are 16 or under. And this is recorded on the 27th of August. Like you guys are seeing this on the same day, a couple hours later. So this is Friday, August 27th, 2021. And I mean, unless someone gets a lot of stats real quick somehow, or if 26 overtakes 25 or something, it's not going to change anytime soon. Now, Kara, very well-known kit. Now, if you think top Karakots in the world, there's one Karakot that should come to mind if you play a lot of Smash Heroes. That's right, Mindbender. His main account, I believe, is currently locked, so he plays on a different account known as Swiftwind. I've played this guy quite a bit. Very fun to do Kara v Kara mirror match with him. He's very good at Karakot, insanely good. Known as one of, if not the best Karakot of all time. So let's take a look at his stats. I've already got this written down. He's got 6,610 damage kills to about 4,982 void kills. So this is 57%. So just a reminder, Nemqnja, and this is in 2v2 by the way. So if we look at Nemqnja was 8% maximum. Excalix is 48%. And Mindbender, also known as Swiftwind, is at 57% estimated. Okay, so we're going 8, 48, 57. Okay, so we can see our 48 is like fairly close to lower bound. I would say the lower bound is like low 40s. And then we can see Mindbender or Swiftwind very high, closer to the upper bound. So generally the upper bound here, Karakot, known to be a more damage dealing class, so obviously the numbers are going to be higher here. I would say the upper bound is going to be a high 60%. Generally, you don't see any accounts go above 70 if they're main accounts that have a reasonable amount of stats, simply because, well, you do a lot of damage, but on average, you hit a guy, he jumps off before you can even, there's a lot of nons that will just throw themselves off, or they'll SD. Even all of top players will SD by accident, and you can't really like steal kills, right? Like the voids are going to take that kill 95% of the time, unless they're like really low and you snipe them or something, right? Anyways, that was the Kara. So we already know the Kara is boosted, but now let's go into the, I guess, the sandbag that sunk the ship, because this is so obvious that Nemqnja boosted here on the Shoop that it is, I mean, it's laughably obvious. So take a look at it. Shoop to Whoop. This is Shoop. We're on Mindbender, so let's go back over to Nemqnja. Let's go Shoop to Whoop. Right here, this is Shoop. I'll save you guys the details. Let's go through his 2v2v2 Shoop stats. Now, when I saw this is just laughable. Now, keep in mind, for Shoop, damage kill ratio generally a lot lower than other kits. So, as we saw with Skullfire, it was 46-46. With Kara, it was 48-57. With Shoop, it's just low. Okay, Shoop is just a kit that gets a lot of void kills, so the amount of damage kills you get is going to be lower. But this is laughably low on an Nemqnja's behalf. This is very lazy, very obvious boosting. So let's go through. He's got 81 2v2v2 damage kills. 81, okay? So that's 2 digits. And if we compare it to the void kills, he's got 4,884. So we go from 2 digits to 4 digits. So we double the digits here. Okay, this is laughable. So the maximum, the conservative number here is going to be 1.6%. So not even 2% maximum. So this could be as low as like 1%, right? Especially with this low 2-digit sample size here. This could be as low as, maybe even a little bit under 1% of his kills being damage kills. That's not just Shoop low. That's boosting low. Even for Shoop is boosting low. Let's compare to Excalix here. Once again, we're going to take Excalix. We're going to be taking his Shoop, same kit and everything. And we're once again going to do the same game mode. So we're going to be comparing Nemqnja's 2v2v2 Shoop stats versus Excalix's 2v2v2 Shoop stats. So Excalix hasn't played the most 2v2v2 on Shoop, but still enough to have a reasonable sample size here. Because there's aren't many options. There's not a lot of accounts, period, that played a lot of 2v2v2 because it's the game mode for boosting, essentially. So he's got about 177 damage kills. So he's already got more than double the damage kills of Nemqnja. And if we look at his void kills, it's about 658. So, I think that's like 1/8 of the void kills that Nemqnja has. Okay, his ratio, it leads to 21% of his damage kills, of his kills being damage kills compared to void kills. So about 1 in 5 of his kills are damage kills. That's compared to the generous offer. That is, what would that be? Like 1 in 60? Okay, so we're going from 1 in 60 to 1 in 5. Okay, so this is 12 times, at least 12 times lower, right? And then we can compare to another Shoop. Of course, we've always been in the three instances here between Nightman Skull, Nemqnja Kara, and now Nemqnja Shoop. We've been comparing to Skelix and then one other player. So for first, with the Skull, Nightman Skull, we did Cuz, and then with Nemqnja's Kara, we did Mindbender. And now I introduce to you one of the best Shoops of all time, one of the best Shoops I've ever lived, a tournament winner using Shoop. We have MC Gamer Z. Now I've personally played against this monster of a Shoop player before. When I say he's one of the best in the world, I mean, it shows. He is insanely good at this kit. He is very, very, very talented. He has definitely put a lot of hard work into learning the kit and mastering the kit. When it comes to mastering a game, I definitely think that MC Gamer Z with his Shoop is very close to hitting the upper limit of what you can do with a Shoop. Now, if we look at his stats, I'll save you guys all the math. And once again, this is his API. You can double check with the object ID. And then let's go ahead and pull up the UID just so you guys can see here. This is not fancy video cutting or anything, although I'm most definitely not going to edit this video at all. I just spent a couple hours pre-planning everything. So let's look at his stats. I'll save you guys a little time with finding the numbers. We've got 369, 369 damage kills to 1,410 void kills. That is another roughly 21% ratio. So we're going at 1.6 to 21 to 21. Okay. Once again, we're doubling up here, so 21 and 21. I think it's very clear that they boosted. It's impossibly clear that they boosted. And I'm just wondering why these guys haven't been banned for it yet, man. Like this is stat weight level boosting. This isn't like an amount of boosting that's like, oh, teehee, I boosted 1 or 2 achievements in TNT games. This is like you boosted a full game mode, right? This is like going from 0 star to 10 star in 8 UHC, all boosted. This is boosting 0 star to 10 star UHC, right? Or this is boosting 0 to like, let's say 200 star in Bed Wars or something like that, right? This is boosting an entire game. This is a laughable amount of boosting. And so let's just go over, once again, real quick, to top off this video. We've got Nightman976 here. This guy, okay, owner of Blood, he's confirmed to have boosted the Skullfire. At the very minimum, he boosted the Skullfire. If we look at Nemqnja here, once again, Black++ in Blood. He's whatever the fuck rank that is. He is confirmed to have boosted both this Karakot and this Shoop. So at the very least, he boosted the Karakot and the Shoop. I didn't bother going through the other characters here because it's simply not worth looking at them. We've already got 2 confirmed cases of boosting. And that means he has boosted at least 6,000 of his kills. So over a third of his overall kills, and I would say, what is this? Probably like a third of his overall wins. Not quite a third of his overall wins. A little under a third of his overall wins. Over a third of his overall kills are boosted. And over a third, I believe, of his, or at least like, what would that be? At least like a sixth or something of this overall Smashers level is boosted. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean these guys are bad people. I don't want to say that you should go out and hate these people for having boosted. I mean, look, a lot of people boost. A lot of people boost for different reasons. I don't think you should go out and hate these people. I don't think you should be mad at these people for having boosted. I think it's definitely worth stat wiping for that. At the very minimum, stat wiping there for this game mode, if not stat wiping overall. Now, I know Hypixelers won't do that. I mean, like, look, this guy, top player, he's not going to get started. Look how much he fucking plays the game. He plays the game so much they can't get rid of him. And then this guy, I mean, this guy's poured over $1,000 into the server. He himself is responsible for paying for at least like one update in like a low tier game mode, I guess. I don't know. It's hilarious. So there's no shot these guys get stat wiped or punished for this. But I mean, I hope it's clear this guy's boosted. You shouldn't ever think anything else about these guys when it comes to Smashers stats at the very least. Don't take these guys' stats in Smashers serious by any means. They are definitely boosted and by a significant amount boosted, not just like a couple of games. Anyways, that's been it. I know it's been a long video, but I'm hoping that you guys enjoyed the more in-depth look into these accounts. Yeah, so that's been looking into the guild blood a little bit. If you guys have any boosted accounts or guilds with a lot of boosted accounts in them, make sure you mention them. I've got a specific Discord channel in my Discord. I think it's like boosted accounts or something like that, boosted accounts or something like that. Go in there, anybody can type in there, and just send the names. Even if you think they boosted but you don't know, just type their names, and it takes us under a minute, under 30 seconds, under 10 seconds to check accounts if we check them in bulk. So just know we can check them a lot faster than you can. So any names you want, throw them down there. We'll go ahead and take a look at that. And I just got one thing for you guys. If you think they boosted, I want you guys to go in comments and say I think they boosted. If you think they didn't boost, go down and explain why you think these aren't boosted. And then if you don't like this video, similar to the people who didn't like the last video, with whatever angry comment you're going to type, I want you to also type whether or not you think they boosted. Because a lot of people last time seem to either think that they didn't boost or they're like defending boosting. So I want everybody listening to this right now to type a few things. One, do you guys think these guys boosted in the comments? And then if you don't think they boosted, explain why. And then if you think that it's bad for people to make videos like this, bad, or if you're one of the people who say that like, well, why would you waste your time, blah blah blah. I've often thought like maybe I'm wasting too much time on this. You know, maybe spending 1 or 2 hours doing this is too much. But then I look at the amount of time it would take for someone like Nemqnja to boost their Shoop like this. These guys are spending 8+ hours boosting a single fucking hero. Okay. So I took way less time, less than a quarter of the amount of time it took these guys to boost, and I in depth proved that they boosted, way beyond any I guess counter ideas. I would say counter proof, but there is no counter proof. This is the evidence here. This is what happened. This is the truth. So go ahead, comment down below. If you have any suggestions, leave them in the description. As always, feel free to sub to my Patreon. I've got one Patreon supporter right now. And if you don't want to sub to the Patreon, all good. I don't really mind. I mean, I don't expect anybody to, and I don't think anybody will. So it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. One thing I do want you guys to do is to check down in the description. You'll find a link to my Discord. That's something that anybody can do. It's free, and it's the best place to get the highest quality anti-boosting content there is. In any game mode, really, especially Smash Heroes. Anyways, I've been your host, Sirix260. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.